Have you ever heard of National Novel Writing Month? It is every November for 30 days, writing as much as you can to finish a manuscript within the month. Have you ever tried it? Well, I think I have a better method, and I want to share it with you today. Hello, I am Denis'Thomas, and welcome to my brand new Writer's Loft. I am still putting it together, but stay tuned and you will see as this space evolves. Well, I love a good challenge, don't you? I am guessing that you do if you clicked on the title of this video because NaNoWriMo is certainly a big challenge. But we've been doing a challenge on this channel that we started September 1st. It's the 100-day writing challenge. And the idea behind it is if you write 500 words for 100 days, which is about 3.5 months, then you will complete a 50,000 word manuscript. Sound familiar? That is the challenge of NaNoWriMo, but condensed into the month of November. It is a 30-day challenge to complete a 50,000 word manuscript in 1 month. That's 30 days. That means writing 1,667 words a day. I love the idea of this. I love a good challenge. I mean, what's not to love, right? Well, here is why I think many people struggle to complete the challenge of NaNoWriMo. Now, let me first say that participating in NaNoWriMo can be a lot of fun. My previous video on this topic talked about some of the benefits of NaNoWriMo, like the community and enjoying the challenge of it and making time to write on a daily basis. I love all of those aspects of it. And you know, if you don't complete your novel, but you make progress on it, I would still say that's a win. So if you want to participate in NaNoWriMo, go for it, try it, see how it works for you. You know, we're all writers and we can write in different ways and still be friends. But here is what I think works better. I think it is a much more effective, sustainable, and long-term writing method to write much, much less and do it for many, many more days. That is how you write multiple books and you don't burn yourself out. Do you remember that famous fable of the tortoise and the hare? I think that applies to writers. And NaNoWriMo is a hair burst of writing. It is fast and it is intense, but you will burn out. You cannot usually maintain that intensity of writing long term unless it's your full-time job. And if it is, and that's how you like to write, wonderful. Write as many books as you can that way. But here on this channel, we are busy people. We have families to care for. We have food to prepare and laundry to do. We have jobs to go to. We have relatives who may need some care. We have communities that we are involved in. And when we are talking about writing, it is in the margins of our lives. It is not a full-time job for most of us. And if it's not your full-time job, then even a word count that sounds very doable, 1,667 words, may be too much. And there's a behavioral aspect that happens when we can't make our word count. Here's how it goes. If you set your goal to write 1,667 words and you only write 1,000 words, well, you have missed your goal. You failed today. It doesn't feel good. There's something undone. You feel like you should be doing more, but maybe you can't today. And so you didn't do it. But on the other hand, let's say your goal is to write only 500 words today and you write 1,000 words. Wow, you are amazing. You wrote double your word count. Yeah, you can do this writing thing. Like this feels really, really good. And that is the benefit of having a low bar that is sustainable for most days. And NaNoWriMo, it's not intended to be sustainable. It's intended to be a writing burst for the month of November. And if that works for you, great. But for most of us, we need something that we can do in small bits, but on a very consistent basis so that it adds up over time. That is the right method. And I believe it is a much better method to become a prolific writer. If you want to write one book, it works for that. But if you want to write multiple books, you could write 2 or 3 a year with the right method. One of the challenges with doing it in a writing sprint, like an intense month of writing, is that once November 30th happens, the challenge is over and many people stop writing. And then, of course, the next month is December, which gives you a really good excuse to not be writing. So, whenever you do a hair burst of writing, there is always a rest period that must follow. Anything that you do with intensity like that is often followed by a period of not doing it because you need a recovery from that intense burst. And December offers that. In fact, it offers a really good excuse for that. But then what happens in January or February? It may be a lot harder to get back to writing because you've been off of it for so long and there's no longer a challenge to get you writing. So that's the first reason why I don't think that NaNoWriMo is a sustainable way to write. Is it's really hard to continue writing day after day when you're doing it as a writing burst. And the second reason why I don't think NaNoWriMo is the best method for sustaining your writing is because if you miss a day, your word count snowballs. So while 1,667 words a day may be doable in a couple of hours a day, if you miss a day, all of a sudden your word count has now shot to above 3,000 words. And honestly, even when I have been a full-time writer, I don't write more than about 2,000 words a day. That's about where I mentally tap out in my writing. So just missing one day means that it is nearly impossible for me to complete that task. Now, maybe you can, but what if you miss 2 days or 3 days? Or let's say there's one day a week where it's nearly impossible for you to write, and you're going to miss 4 days out of the month. You have to make up that word count somehow. Now, it doesn't all have to be the next day, but often we feel like it does. All of a sudden, as you start to look at your word count, you are behind. And we don't want your hair writing sprint to turn into the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, thinking as you write, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late for a very important date. That's not the best way to write. It is not the most enjoyable way to write. And so if you miss a day, it makes writing so much harder when you are doing an intensive writing burst like this. So the third reason that I think that the right method is a better method for writing your book than NaNoWriMo is something that often isn't talked about, and it's what I call that golden thinking time. When you are working on your book a little bit each day, you are thinking about it all day, not necessarily every minute of every day, but it is something that because it's the project that you are in, you are often thinking about it. So maybe in the shower, you have this idea of, oh, that would be a good thing to put in the book. Or maybe you're reading a different book and you're like, oh, this applies to what I'm writing. Or you're having a conversation with a friend and something that you've been working on for your book comes up in the conversation and your friend gives you some really good insight. That's golden thinking time. It is the benefits of writing that expand past the time when you are physically working on your book. It is a beautiful thing. It is an amazing thing that really enhances your book. And when you are writing, say, 500 words a day, a very sustainable amount, you are always in that project until you've finished your manuscript. And the rest of your day is that golden thinking time. If you write your novel in NaNoWriMo, while you get the benefits of being very immersed in it, you don't get all of that golden thinking time. And I think that your manuscript will suffer a little bit because you don't have the time to make those other connections in your writing. Golden thinking time. And the fourth reason that I think that the right method is better than NaNoWriMo is because at the end of NaNoWriMo, at the end of 30 days of being intensely focused on your project, you will be sick of it. You will be ready to put it aside. You will be tired of writing. As I mentioned, it's not sustainable. It's not intended to be. And so you will set the project aside maybe until next November. And, again, this works for some people. They actually get their books written this way. But what if you could write your book in less than a year? I mean, you could write a book pretty comfortably in less than 6 months if you did a little bit every day, paused, and then came back and edited it. And personally, for me, I like to do a project, complete it, and move it off my plate. I don't need books hanging on for years waiting for the next November to finish. Now, that doesn't mean you have to wait until November, but some authors do. So the bottom line here is that if you want to do NaNoWriMo, if you are excited about it and it motivates you to write, then go and enjoy the challenge. I would suggest not really being tied to the finishing 50,000 words by the end of the month and being really happy with whatever progress you make. But you do you. If you want to jump in with both feet and fully embrace the challenge, then go for it and see what happens. But if you are looking for a more sustainable way to write not only this manuscript, but other manuscripts in addition, and you are a busy person who doesn't have a lot of time to dedicate to this goal, well, stick with me and use the right method. 500 words a day will get your manuscript written in 100 days. And honestly, 100 days is only a month and a half longer than NaNoWriMo. So test it and see if I am right. You want to jump in and participate in our 100-day challenge? Today could be day 1. Are you curious about what the right method is? Well, this video right here might be just the one to watch next. It explains the right method and it will help you get started.